Okay, good evening, and welcome to the Chatbout Talkshow. So glad to have your company. So glad to be back here another week on the radio. It's wonderful weather we're having. Absolutely wonderful. I hope you're enjoying it and not complaining that it's too warm, too hot. You know the saying, can't take the heat, leave the kitchen. I'm loving it. Apart from the little hay fever issue, but it's all good. I'm working with it. So I trust your week has started well. I trust you and your family are well. And if you aren't, the Lord knows it all, and He can change that in an instant, and He can work things out accordingly. So we continue to trust and have faith and believe in the Lord. For all things are possible through Him. Chatbout, Tuesdays, 8 till 10 p.m. I'm here with my co-hosts, and we're supposed to have a guest on as well. So we're really looking forward to a great show this evening. And it's only going to be a great show if she turns up. I am hoping that she will join us real soon. And we can progress with the show. If I just let you know, we are live all over the radio. We are live all over the internet. We are live here, there, and everywhere. But wherever you are, I would love for you to share the show, the link to the show. If you're on your favorite radio station, please tell somebody about the station. Tell somebody about this show, which broadcasts each and every Tuesday between 8 and 10 p.m. All right, here on the Chatbout Talk Show, Brother Charles and co-hosts Minister Joshua Kesler and Pastor Owen Uriah, who will be joining me real soon. All right, so please tell somebody about the show and the station you're logged on to. If you are on any of the social networks, we would love for you to share wherever you are viewing the show from. All right, so please, that's all we ask, is that you share the link to the show. All right? Share the links to the show. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Mixcloud, and of course on my official website, which is www.brothercharles.uk. That's www.brothercharles.uk. Let me just... let me see if my co-host is in. If I press a few buttons, we may get them on. Let's see. Let's see. It looks like we are about to roll. Let's do this. Oh man, that's not right, is it? That's not right. Let's see what's going on here. Oh man. Pastor Owen, how you doing?
Greetings everyone. Good evening listeners. Good evening Brother Charles. Lovely to be with you again in this wonderful weather.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful, isn't it?
Man, I was born to be in the heat, man, you know. So, yeah, I just come back from Dubai, as you know, and I tell you what, it's no better there than it is here right now.
Oh so,
man. You know, you don't want to waste your money going to other countries to get sunshine.
What you can get here, eh? Why go elsewhere? You can get it here.
Man, honestly, it's lovely, man.
It's
you know,
absolutely
just changing people's attitude when they see the sun. You know, we smile a bit more and we're a bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
I love that. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Minister Joshua Kesler, how are you?
Hey, how you doing, guys? I'm good, thank you, by the grace of God.
Praise
good evening to everyone listening, tuned in. Yeah, I'm good. And as you guys were just talking about the weather, I love the heat.
It's
I love the sun.
beautiful, isn't it?
If it could be, this is just me personally, if it could be all year round, I'll be happy.
Likewise.
We give God thanks for this amazing weather.
Amen.
Yeah, definitely.
Amen.
Definitely.
Amen. Well, we are supposed to be joined by Dr. Pearl, Dr. Pearl Jarrett. I'm hoping she will join us because it's all about her tonight, to be honest. And we haven't programmed anything else in to talk about. So I am
You
hoping
can talk about the weather.
we could talk about the weather if you like it or not, or if you're
All
bunning
those
up.
people
for
say,
getting-
we could do a liquid shower. Go upstairs and have a shower. And shower.
It's absolutely beautiful. So yeah, we are supposed to be talking with Dr. Pearl Jarrett. Dr. Pearl Jarrett, if you are listening, we would love for you to join us. I'm gonna try and get her on. Do any of you know what the topic is about today? Actually, what the topic actually is? Blank faces.
It's about the weather. It's about the weather. I believe we're going to be talking about the disparity within foster caring or foster homes.
Yeah.
And this is something that Dr. Charles, Dr. Pearl Jarrett, she works within this area or in this field, and she's going to come give us some understanding of some of the challenges that happen, especially when it relates to finding care homes for black children. The interesting thing is that on the weekend I was at an event, fundraising event where they were actually raising funds for a particular establishment by the name of TAT, who actually is a foster caring organization. So to actually be having this conversation tonight is very, very interesting. So
Wonderful.
I look forward to hearing what Dr. Pearl has to say to us tonight.
Yeah.
Just building awareness, and as I think after reading some information as it relates to what she does, I know that she really wants to encourage people out there, or the listeners out there, to make a decision, or if they feel that they are called. Because one of the things that came up in conversation on Saturday with one of the guys who, the organizers or the founders of the establishment, was talking about, he was saying that, fostering is not a profession, it's more of a vocation, it's more of a calling. So I'm sure there may be people out there who may be thinking about it, and I'm sure Pearl will be able to give some knowledge and insight as to how best to go about it, and encouraging people to open their homes to take care of these young black children. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
definitely something that's needed.
Yeah. I know of a few foster parents, foster carers. People that's been doing it for decades. I know them personally, and I've seen some children grow up from literally babes right the way up into their 20s and beyond, and it really does make a difference in some of these children's life.
Definitely.
No sign of Dr. Pearl yet. Pastor Owen, I know that Dr. Pearl was in Birmingham, your town, on Sunday. She was talking. Doing a talk on what we're going to be talking about tonight, I do believe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, she was up in Birmingham, and I thought it only right just to go and to greet her, really. But it was a great evening, actually. I would have liked to see more people, there, but it was a great conversation because there was a lot of information that was being shared on the tables, different tables. But she did come and bring, I would say, a testimony of anything, and I'm sure she'll share that with us tonight. But it was very powerful. It was very interesting. And like you say, there's many of these organizations around the world. I think I was involved with one last year who were going to come to our church and speak. But there was an American group that were moved in to do stuff in England as well. So it's a much-needed thing, and it's a very important thing. And we need to, there's a need. Of course there's a need. There's always a need when it comes to children. But she gave a powerful delivery of personal experience and also how, as a community, we can get involved. And I don't know, I'm trying not to say anything about it because she'll share it tonight.
Yes.
but it was very powerful because it's a great story of. I was moved because she talked about the prophecy and the move of God.
Amen.
Within what she had done, and
Amen.
I found that really powerful because when people say words, sometimes me and Josh always talk about these things. Words are one thing, but actual seeing these things come to life and really happen. A real life testimony, and I don't want to say anything more about her testimony.
Yes, yeah.
But the need in itself, there was a lot of people there, and people signing forms, and I pray that that'll go through. I myself signed a form. Me and my wife, I was with my wife, and just to get more information. I've been through the process a couple of times. I was saying to Brother Charles earlier, but when it comes to that actual stepping over the line, I haven't done it. So me and my wife's talking about it now in these later years, and there's a need, and if we believe that we have something to offer, and I think you rightly said earlier about it being a calling. We're talking about parenting here. We're talking about looking after someone, and you have to be called to that.
Inviting them into your home is not a small thing at all.
Yeah, definitely. So it was a great evening. She was up in Birmingham, New Testament Church of God there on Lozels Road, and it was a lovely evening, and the food was great. Well, the food was good, man. I don't eat after 7 o'clock, but I was eating that night. You know what I mean? But the food was good. So it was a really good presentation, but by her and all the team. She was a team there with her, and some great video as well that she showed as well. But yeah, very interesting, very interactive. And it was a pleasure meeting her, actually. Very fun-loving lady.
Absolutely.
And her husband too. Let me just say, her husband was sitting on our table chatting with him, and it was great hearing some of the experiences that he had as well in his community work. So real people, where the rubber meets the road. We've been talking about this for a long time. Practical Christianity, and I just want to say this before I do stop speaking. She mentioned something that I found really powerful, and we've been talking about this on this show for a long time. She's been talking about it a long time. She was talking about churches where we do the food bank, and that's important. We need to do that. That's great. And then we do collections, maybe Christmas for the homeless, and all of those things are important. But she was mentioning about the power of the church coming out of the four walls and really impacting the community. And with what she was talking about Sunday night, fostering and that kind of thing is impacting the community because we have a chance to change the children of tomorrow. And the way she put it, I thought, that's probably a good thing because that's what we're doing. We're supposed to be agents of change, life changers, and we're all for changing adults, but we've got a chance here to change some children too.
Amen.
Yeah. It was just a good way to put it over anyway. But it was a good evening.
So true. That's so true because family is the bedrock of society, and when you think about the times that we are living in and so many things that our young people are facing and dealing with, even being at the event on Saturday and hearing some of the testimonies of some of the young people who came through the fostering system, because sometimes it can be very good. Some of these individuals can have some great experiences, be connected with some great families, while on the other hand, it can be quite negative. Young people can get lost in the system, going from home to home, because some of these kids, they're troubled.
That's the thing as well, challenging.
Yeah.
Challenging.
And it can be very, very challenging because of some of the things that they have been through. So it takes a certain type of character, it takes patience.
That's right.
For a person to have the knack and the ability to, let's say, for example, get to the root cause of maybe why some of these young people behave the way that they do. One of the things that came up in conversation is that even though sometimes we may see our young people behave in ways that are not right, or they get themselves caught up in antisocial behavior, they do actually like discipline. They do actually like boundaries. But it's about having trusted individuals, trusted parents who really do care about these individuals and as you said, Pastor Owen, be an agent of change. Showing them love, showing them care, nurturing them, being able to listen, etc., etc., etc. So it is something that is really important. And yes, as the body of Christ, we really do need to, make a difference by coming out from the four walls of the church and really going into the community and making a massive difference. We're in the world, even though we are a community of believers, we're in the world, but we are not supposed to be of the world. We're just supposed to, make a difference, make our light so shine before men, so that we can glorify our Father in heaven. So yeah,
amen.
So hopefully, Pearl's going to put in an appearance.
So it ain't going to be much of a show without her. So you know what? Maybe while we're waiting, if there is anybody, we just open the phone lines. And if there are any foster parents, those that have adopted, maybe if they want to come in, call in and share their experience in the meantime, that might be something good to do. Is that all right? Is that all right, gents, fellas?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, let's just play the disclaimer, and then I think we'll just roll on. With that this evening.
Disclaimer. This group takes no responsibility and will not accept liability for any communication via discussions or other modes of communication from individuals or as a separate entity that causes offence. We do not aim to purposefully generate anything that is intentionally malicious or slanderous. Our aim is not to provide misleading information that could lead to harm of any nature.
So tonight we are discussing the topic. Let me just get it up. The topic we are discussing is tackling racial disparity in the care system. Tackling racial disparity in the care system. We've got Dr. Pearl Jarrett, who has a foundation. She's got her own foundation. I know she does a lot of work in Jamaica as well. I don't really want to talk much about it without her being here, to be honest. But I know she does so much work, and she's got her, should we say, she's got her fingers in a lot of pies. Our Pearl, Dr. Pearl. She does a lot of things, but I really would love for her to let you know all about it. Home for Good is one of the organisations he's working with. Home for Good, tackling racial disparity in the care system is what is dear to her heart, and we really would love to hear what she's got to say on this. If you are a carer, if you are a foster parent, if you are an adopted parent, maybe you're an adopted child or a foster child, you want to call in with your experiences, we would love to hear from you. Until we hear from Dr. Pearl, if you want to share your experiences tonight, if you've ever thought about getting into this profession, if you've had that calling, as Minister Joshua mentioned, if you've thought about it, or maybe you tried to get into it and you were rejected for some reason. If you want to share that, let us know. Let's give you the phone line number.
Interact and call the studio on 07534 610 422. Interact and call the studio on 07534 610 422. Interact and call the studio on 07534 610 422.
Okay, phone lines are open. If you are a carer, we would love to hear from you. A foster carer, or an adopted parent. If you're an adopted child, we would even love to hear from you. If you're a foster child, we want to know how it's been for you. How's your parents been? How's the home or homes been? Because I know some children get moved around as well. They don't settle at one place all the time. How's it been for you? We would love to know. Still trying to get hold of our guest. There's no show at the moment, but the show goes on. And apologies for Dr. Pearl not joining at the moment, but I'm sure she will. She was really eager and rearing to go yesterday when we talked about her coming on. So hoping that she joins us real soon. Do any of you know of any foster parents or children in the system? Pastor Owen, Minister Joshua?
I think I have a family friend. I know that she's been doing foster caring for a number of years. And we've had one or two conversations, and she's talked about the challenges that she sometimes had. As you said, sometimes when some of these young people are passed from home to home, it can be quite for them because they're not settled, and you go from one place, and then you're then shifted to another place, and then it can just continue like that. And sometimes what it is that some of these, as I mentioned before, some of these young people have been dealing with some really, really challenging stuff. There's certain things that happen to them within the care system, and as a result, they begin to act out and begin to behave in ways that are not appropriate. And as a result, some parents have to make a decision to say, well, we can't continue with this young person. I think even being out on Saturday and listening to one of the testimonies, a girl was giving her testimony about how she was transitioned from home to home every so often because of her inappropriate behavior. And then they somewhat placed her in a residential home. And as she continued to act out and behave inappropriately, what they would do is kind of like just ignore her behavior. And she soon somewhat began to settle down. Because sometimes people do things because sometimes they act out because they want attention. But as a result of her consistently keep behaving inappropriately, they just ignored her until more or less she just got exhausted. And then they had the ability to then, these individuals, they're skilled. So then they had used their skills to somewhat tap into her psyche to really get to the root of why she's behaving the way she's behaving. And once they began to build that rapport, she soon became, what would I say? That's when the change basically started to happen. And the interesting thing is that this particular individual, she became a social worker. And now she's actually doing the same thing in terms of helping young people.
Nice.
That's in the care system, which is fantastic, which is absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely, yeah.
So she's now a manager, and she has a team of people that she works alongside with in order to make a difference in the lives of the young people, which was just
that's awesome.
Powerful.
Definitely.
So yeah, it's really good. Really good.
Yourself, Pastor Owen, you said you were thinking about.
Robert Charles, you've gone silent. Can't hear you.
I've gone silent. 1 second. Sorry, Pastor Owen, you said you were thinking about going into.
I'll be honest with you. I was just listening to Minister talking there, and I have a couple of family members actually that have adopted.
Okay.
Foster adopted, and believe it or not, I thought we hadn't until I started to think about it. You see how silly it can be sometimes. But they adopted them from babies, and they're now 30 years old.
Yeah,
30 years old.
Yeah.
So,
You see them growing up.
So we kind of like forgotten the fact that they were. I was just thinking, we don't have any now. And I just realized we do. I think there's 4. We have 4, 2 girls and 2 boys. In my cousins and whatever. But we raised them. They was raised in the family from day dot, so we knew them from babies. If you're with me. And I just listened to the minister talking there because in my world and the work that I do, in church or whatever, I'm around a lot of people that do fostering, and I really appreciate the people that do it. I admire them, really do, because I think it's not the easiest of jobs. And I think, as Minister pointed out there, see, my experience of what I've seen of fostering, that's why I forgot, you see. My experience of what I've seen is normally not always bad, but, sometimes they tell you some horror stories, and you look and you think, I wonder, if I could put up with that or handle that, and they're not always horror stories. I appreciate that. But when they are, it can't be easy. As Minister said there, ignoring the bad behavior, if there is bad behavior. You know, some of us are not. Some of us are not good at ignoring the bad behavior, if you with me, you know. So, you know, I was just thinking about that when he was speaking, and that's the story sometimes. But it's that victory, isn't it, of that they go through this process, and then they be more often not sometimes, and many times, I'm sure, they become very successful people because that's who they are. They're all made in God's image. So, you know, I'm just thinking about this process now. It's just made me think, because I'm very reflective, and I think that we should help wherever we can, and then I think sometimes some people should leave it alone. You know, and I'm sure I'll probably get stick for saying it, but I'm sure some people do it as a career. It's the job.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know,
just
like we have some pastors, they do it as it's a job. You know, it's a job. So you got that side of the coin. But I admire anyone that does go down this road of doing this, because as anyone would know, parenting is not always easy. It is for those with wonderful children that never do anything wrong and they are perfect. Thank God for them. But most of us did not that. Most of us had children that can be challenging, and so I admire that. Yeah. So as I said, I myself, me and the wife, we signed up for it before, a few years ago, probably 10, 15 years ago, and I kind of like chickened out. I'm a coward, you see. A responsibility. I just recognized it was a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
And we look at, and I'm one of these. I would look at my own children and say, well, you know, did we do a good job there? Well, some would say yes, and some would say no. I don't know. But I was thinking, how do I handle someone else's children? For me, that was a challenge. It may not be a challenge for anyone else, you know. But that's a challenge of
you want to instill discipline. You want to instill certain things, and you're thinking, it's not your own child.
That's right. And also, as you say, you don't want to say too much before Pearl explains anything to us. We can only see from the outside. At church, you know, we have some ladies that can't come to church because they're looking after a child that decides they don't want to go to church. So they're not allowed to say to them, well, we're a Christian family. I know that's what we tend to think. We're a Christian family, and we go to church on a Sunday, and you've got to come with us. But I was told, well, they can't, because they can't tell the child that to come. So there's a lot of challenges that we would have. People like me would have, I would say. Let me just say me. Yeah. I'm challenged with everything, you know what I mean? I'm a man of routine. I have certain lifestyle that I expect to do it this way. But obviously we'll challenge them because of the commitment that we've made. So that may be something that I'd like to hear about more. Hopefully, I hope she comes and shares some of this with us.
Absolutely. Not sure where she is. I honestly don't know. I've tried getting hold of her.
Or maybe someone else could call up and help us with.
Well, this is it. This is it. Yeah, absolutely. I would love to hear from foster parents or foster children, or those that have maybe adopted. Whilst at work, what's the topic tonight? Tonight we are talking about the topic: tackling racial disparity in the care system. Tackling racial disparity in the care system. We should have a guest join us, Dr. Pearl Jarrett. She is she works in a foundation. She's part of a foundation, and she fosters herself as well. But we really would love for her to tell her story and all that surrounds fostering. So if there are any foster parents, foster carers, foster children, if you're no longer a carer, but you were, as I know some that used to do it and don't do it anymore as well, done it for years, decades, and they don't do it anymore. I know some that's passed it on to their children. The parent was a carer. They passed the role on to their children to become carers, and they're doing a fine job. Absolutely splendid job. I know persons who do foster caring. One person started out for the money but fell in love with the siblings she fostered and ended up adopting them. Well, this is what that's wonderful, Joe. This is what I wanted to find out as well, the difference between fostering and adopting. And I know Dr. Pearl would have been able to put me straight on this. That's one of the things I wanted to know, the real differences. I've never really known exactly what the difference is. I know there is a major difference. Well, there you go. One person started out for the money. So that's what some of them do. It's very financially rewarding, I do believe.
Yeah.
Started out for the money, but fell in love with the siblings she fostered and ended up adopting them. So it was more than one as well. Siblings. She ended up adopting them. Special K is a foster. Special K, you need to call us. You're a foster carer. We would love to hear from you, Karen. Give us a call, please. We would love to hear from you. While we wait for Dr. Pearl Jarrett, we want to hear from foster carers, foster parents, those that have adopted children, and the children that have been in the system. What are the challenges? What are the rewards? What are the highs? What are the lows of it all? Be part of the conversation tonight. Join us on the conversation tonight. We would love to hear from you if you have gone through the system. Okay. We can't get Special K on tonight. If you can message, if you want to message Karen, feel free to do so. We would love your input in any way, any which way. But I'm sure there are some of you that know foster parents, foster children, adopted children, and you might want to share, or you want to get them to call in.
Interact and call the studio on 07 534 610 422.
Whilst we wait for Dr. Pearl Jarrett, you might just want to Google Dr. Pearl Jarrett. I'm sure you've seen her. She does various roles. She's a woman that's done so much. I know her from the church, from church, should I say. I know her from church. Her and her family from my church. And I know she's done so much stuff in her latter years. She's really branched out. Awesome woman of God. She does so much. Just done so much. Does so much. I would love to just hear exactly from her mouth what she does, how she managed to do so much as well. It's can't be easy doing so much stuff, juggling so much stuff. Yeah. And we haven't got another topic to talk about. So this is it, people. You need to call in. There's got to be somebody who's calling that wants to share about fostering and adoption, the disparity, the racial disparity, in the care system. So that is the topic we're talking about tonight. They're tackling the racial disparity in the care system. I know of another loyal listener who is actually a foster carer, and she's out at the moment. She's not able to join us, which is a shame. We've got some real loyal listeners and followers of the show that are actually foster parents. We can't hear from them.
I think, Brother Charles, just to highlight, you mentioned about difference between fostering and adoption.
Adoption, yeah.
Yeah, I was actually chatting around the table on Sunday night.
Yeah.
I was with it doesn't matter who it was with. It was one of the people that was there, and they was explaining that difference actually.
Okay.
And I remember the same thing happening with one of my family members, because they fostered first and then they adopted. They adopted, and according to what they were telling me, is that the fostering is that they only have them for a certain amount of time until they may go back to their families or they may go on to somewhere else.
Right.
So you only kind of just kind of like have them for a certain amount of time.
Okay.
And then they go on to their families, and you're paid for your time, etc. That's what that's what they were saying. But with adoption now is a different process, because they said, well, when you adopt them now, they become
yours,
actually just like your son. And just to say from a legal perspective, well, this is what we did at law school. A legal perspective is actually that they're as entitled, if not more entitled, to your inheritance.
Okay.
So they become a real son. And I love that. Actually, why I mentioned, the only reason why I just mentioned that is because our scriptures teach that too, that we are adopted into the family. And we're not like outsiders now. We are his children, and therefore we have inheritance too. I just love the way that was the correlation that I heard many years ago. But I believe an adopted child is actually the same as the siblings that are in the family. They're adopted in, and for want of a better word, I suppose, grafted in. I suppose they're part of the same bloodline, and seen that way. And I think that's really cool from a Christian perspective. That in the scriptures too. And I find that really interesting, as opposed to fostering now, where they could be moved from your home now. They're going to go and stay with these other people somewhere else, or they can move around. And also go back to the parents as well. But I believe that once they're adopted, they stay with you legally. They are yours legally. So I thought I was just interested. I only mentioned it from the biblical perspective, you see. So I thought that was quite interesting.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay. Anyone else know any foster carers? Have you been a foster carer? What was it like? How did the system treat you? How easy was it to get into fostering? What were the challenges? What were the rewards? What are the negatives? There's got to be all these questions need to be answered, and I can't answer because I haven't played the role. Any children had some great experiences you like to share about the homes you were placed into? If you know somebody, why not give them a call? Tell them to call us. Share. Sharing is caring. We're talking about caring today. Fostering is when someone is awarded care for the children by children's services, social services, but the children are legal wards of the state. Last caller, please call the studio number 07534 610 422. The children are legal wards of the state, but the adopted parent has legal guardianship. Last caller, please call the studio number. Alright, here's the studio number 07534 610 422. If you can call that number, we would love to talk to you and hear what you've got to say. So fostering is when someone is awarded care for the children by the children's services, social services, but children are legal wards of the state, but the adopted parent has legal guardianship of the child. Yeah.
Interact and call the studio on 07 534 610 422.
Hi, caller. Good evening.
Good evening, Brother Todd. It's Jojo.
How you doing, Joe? You all right?
I'm fine, thank you. Very, very interesting topic, Very, very interesting topic.
It is. It is.
Very, very. And I was having this discussion recently with a friend of mine, and I know of quite a few people who are foster carers.
Okay.
My daughter's godmother, who is one of my best friends, she fosters, and she has a lot of problems with it in that she fostered a little baby girl, and she got the baby's sibling as well.
Okay.
So she got the baby because it was domestic in the home of the parents.
Right.
And so she has the baby. She has one child with her husband. She has fallen in love with this baby. The baby calls her mom.
Oh.
Her son treats the baby like
Sister.
his little sister. And what has happened is they've decided to move the children from her. And so the point I'm trying to make is sometimes when we talk about fostering, we think only of the children, which is not a bad thing, but we sometimes forget about the foster parents.
The bond, yeah.
The bonds that are formed and the struggles that they go through as well, because as a mom, you fall in love with this little baby girl that calls her mom. The little girl doesn't know her parents because when the mom was pregnant with her, she was going through the domestic violence. So when she had her in the hospital, they took her from her.
Wow.
Straight away.
Yeah, so she
They
doesn't
didn't
know
allow
any
her to
other.
take her home.
Doesn't know any other mother.
Exactly. So my friend had her since she was just a wee baby.
Yeah.
And so the baby grew up, and she had her for about a year and a half.
Wow, that's a long time. And that's the most vital time as well, the newborn. The first couple of months, they say, isn't it?
First couple of months.
First couple of months, a year and a half is a lifetime there. It's a long time.
It is.
Wow.
So that does happen. And another friend of mine had siblings as well, and she eventually adopted the kids, and she has them now.
Wow.
So the difference is, and these are two friends of mine. One has adopted, and one was just fostering. So the difference is with the foster child, the child remains legal ward of the state. So they can move that child anywhere. But once you've adopted
One second, Joe.
child,
1 second, Joe. Matey, stay there, please. Joe, carry on.
Yeah, once you've adopted the child becomes your legal ward as if it was your biological child.
Right.
So like the pastor was saying, this child now has legal right to your will, your assets, and whatever, because this child now becomes legally your child. You're legally responsible. No one can take this child. It's like you gave birth to this child. So that's the difference.
Right.
And one other thing before I go, what we were saying about the disparaging race between the adoption of white and black, I think from what I've seen is that more white people are adopting, and they're adopting their own kind, their own race. which is not, nothing wrong with that. Less black people are adopting, and that is true. That's a fact. Stats show that less black people are adopting, and what more black people are doing, they're fostering because more money is in it.
It's more beneficial, financially beneficial.
And the truth is they're doing it for the money. That's the truth.
Right.
And that's where the disparity comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful insight there from your friend about your friend, and thank you for sharing with us, Joe.
Absolutely, no problem.
God bless you. All right, take care. Bye for now. We've got Matey on the line. Matey, how you doing?
Hi. Hi, good evening.
How are you? You okay?
Yes. Busy. I'm very busy.
I know you are. I've heard.
Always very busy.
You've shared bits and pieces with me and others about your journey. I know it's a very delicate one. Do you want to share your story about what you've done, what you're doing?
Yeah.
Please do. Please do.
Right. I would like to tell, to answer the last statement that Joe made.
Yeah.
About that a lot of, I think she mentioned black folks, but I think in general, it's other ethnic minorities apart from white people and still white English, I mean.
Yes.
There are reasons why people foster. And I disagree. I don't believe it's just because of the money. Once you get the right advice, you will understand why they have chosen foster rather than adopting or become the legal guardians. Many parents become adopted parents from the fostering channels, because adopting is very difficult in any country, especially in this one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing to say.
Well, why did you become a carer, foster or adopted?
The reason why I'm saying that to Joe is because there are quite a few differences in between, obviously adopting and being the legal guardian of the children, and then fostering. And yes, it is not all, but there's a lot to do with the money. And unless you are really well financially able to cover everything by yourself, when you normally
it's a big challenge.
You call rescue in brackets when you rescue children that they have gone through the system. And they carry luggage with them, emotional luggage.
Yes.
And with that, they bring all these other emotional and physical connotations, such
with
as
them.
Hyperactive disorder,
ADHD, in some cases,
post-traumatic disorder, which
just
is
challenges.
linked to some autistic people. Some of it is linked to birth trauma, some not, but it's a lot of study, of psychological studies, blah, blah, blah. And what happens is when you have a lot of kids that they might need help, unless, like I said, you're quite wealthy.
It's a big
then
task.
You will be, if you're just a normal parent, you become just a normal adopted parent or a legal guardian, you are back in the queue. And I work for the NHS, and I know how long to see a doctor takes. You are in the queues for months.
Yeah.
And but when you are a foster parent, so the children are foster, what happens is that they get prioritized.
Okay.
And they will be prioritized, and they will help you financially to cover lots of other costs of living. Yeah?
Right.
Now, so let's say that you are not an able person like I wasn't, right? And I was going to become a legal guardian.
Yeah.
For the children that I was getting. And I was working at the time, I think you met me already by then, obviously we know each other for a few years now. I was working full-time in King's, doing night shifts and day shifts.
Yeah.
And if I would have become a legal guardian at the time, and many friends that I knew that they were become the legal guardians of their own family members, which they went through through the social services by losing them through family, as in the families lost them and they rescued them, if it makes sense what I'm saying.
Okay, yep.
So their advice was for me to do the same. but I pray about it.
Amen.
I pray about it. I had my my prayer team pray for this, and then they, I really had God was speaking to me, and I had the real sense of getting legal advice from godly sources. So I went to the best firm that I ever known. It was Great Wright and Cummins, and it's based in Brixton. I recommend it to anybody. Our folks, they're from the Worldwide Mission Fellowship in West Norwood. They advised me, and they actually recommend me to become a foster carer rather than, and obviously it was my choice. They present me all the choices. And with that, the implications, the legal implications, and how to get, the financial help for the children. And for me, and yes, you do it for, part of it you do it for the money, but not because you want the money, but you want the best for the children. Now, if you're not a wealthy person and you become the legal guardian, you will have to struggle, work, whatever, and you will have to do all of the things that you do as a normal parent. Yeah, and if you don't get the legal advice, what happens is, of course, you have to deal with the services. Yes, true. Mm-hmm. That's the negative side of that. But if you are a professional person and you're really a God-fearing and you can work with the professionals and you work with the system and you trust God to turn everything around for the best, there is nothing to fear because you have nothing to hide.
Amen.
Because you're not doing anything wrong. You're just trying to build these children the best as possible. So the fact that the social services are interfering is just part of the process. And yes, it's annoying, especially for the children, because they don't want strangers in the houses and all of those things are absolutely true. But you just have to learn how to work and pray that God will put the right people around you.
Yeah.
And definitely, without doubt, in my particular case, it was a battle because it was real. It was a real battle. The children were separated. It was 5 siblings. They were separated.
5 siblings were separated from each other.
They were separated 3. One, they went for one family, 2 for another, and they were separated for over a year.
Wow.
And
they all grew up together, did they?
Yeah, of course they did. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a traumatic experience for them,
mm-hmm.
and also because some professionals make mistakes, and when they decided to do what they did, they were not accurate. So I took them to court, and I requested an independent assessor. Again, by this amazing, I have not enough resources to how the advice and the support of Great Wright and Cummins have placed in my family. Apart from all the prayers, is the great professionalism that they've got, and and in one point they came pro bono because they believed in my case, and it was incredible. And I won the fact that the children should be the 5 of them together because I didn't want to place them together. They thought there was too much work, that there was too many people, and and everybody was saying I couldn't do it. Everybody that didn't know me well enough.
Okay.
Right. And when everybody, and many people that knew me thought, because of their own perspective, and sometimes you measure other people by your own standards, right? So if you think you cannot do it, some of you could not do it. Right? But God told me I could do it. And since God told me anybody could say whatever. And so I get on with it. And I am tired and I do struggle. And I'm not going to lie.
It's a struggle.
I have 3 times COVID in the process. And all of this. And I've been really, really ill, but bedbound. I am suffering. I'm a long-term COVID patient. Obviously, I had to stop. I stopped working full time because I couldn't do night shift. I could only do a small part time.
Yeah.
And many people advised me to stop working. As the means financially, I could actually, in a way, be without a job because I have one income. But apart from obviously getting little help, is the fact that these children need to see that, how adults get up, like they do. They get up, they have to go to school, they have to be responsible. We talk about the fact of education and all of that in different terms, another chat. But in the terms of see you getting up and getting involved with the system, how you have to pay your bills, how you have to get up and be responsible and go into work, they needed to see this. And I chose to do this. It's my choice. I enjoy going into work, and I think I am making a good example for them.
Great. Awesome.
Physically, I struggle a little, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But God carries me through every day, without doubt.
Wonderful. The care system do assist you and help you as well, though, I take it.
But that's what I was saying. Yes, of course, you get, like I said, you get an allowance.
Yeah.
And within that allowance, you get to feed them, clothe them, and you're able to give them certain things that you won't be able to do. If you are just a legal guardian or you will receive the minimum help. And if you are working full time, you are not eligible to hardly anything, any supplements or anything. And if you just go over, let's say you need to go do a court hearing, it happened to me.
Yeah.
And you just go over, your salary goes over £50 of the minimum that they require.
Yeah.
You do, because you cannot afford to pay for the legal advice or the representation, and you are not eligible to get the legal aid either.
Right.
So what do you do, right? So when you become a foster parent, then you get an allowance, and you are able to do these things. You are able to do more things because you have a bit of more of an income, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
You can make certain decisions, you can do certain things, but it's not just that. You need the professionals around you, and you're working as a team for the best mental health and physical health of the children when they need treatment for all kind of things. And I also tell you, because I also work in the hospital, and it helps me to understand much deeper with all of the children that they come with all these different issues, whether they are foster or not. But it makes a difference when it comes to sometimes pay bills or, if you need to have a special treatment or anything like that. You understand?
Absolutely. There's a question saying...
fostering services, the fostering services, that will be the ones that help you to cover certain costs.
Yeah.
And they will also prioritize you the queue. So you will jump the queue because of your priority, basically.
Awesome. Someone, I didn't think they heard, they said, can you clarify whether you have all 5 siblings, please?
Yes, we do.
You do. She, Macy does have all 5 siblings, and that's great. We have another guest.
I gave up my assured tenancy.
Okay.
And I went into the ascendancy of private renting.
Awesome.
Because of crazy faith. There's a long testimony on this. My daughter pray, and we were at the time fearing in a godly way, not fearing as in we were not scared, but we were fearing for the older 2 boys because they were badly influenced in the area we were living. And we were praying, and we decided that it was worth. We were betting on God's will for us, basically. that we will move out of the area and to save them from getting, submerged into all these, drug dealing and gangs and all that.
Yeah.
And that's, and we could have continued living there. We could have, that was my home for the last 15 years. And nobody could have removed me from there. But the children were not a main priority, funny enough, even though they're foster, but they were not in immediate danger.
Mm-hmm.
And when it came to actual housing, they could not transfer me or reaccommodate me because I was not, within the priority, I was not in immediate danger. So I was priority, but other people was more priority than me.
Yeah.
Because they might have been in immediate danger. So, and I work with the thinking. And I see all these children, unfortunately, that they come with the goons, starting goons and gunshots and all sorts of things from all these rivalry stuff and, things that happen when you become part of this gang and stuff like that. And when these things happen, then you're a priority. And I decided that I wasn't going to wait for that because I can see this every day. And there's no way that was going to happen. We pray, and then a miracle happened. And again, a position came. We found a house big enough with almost 6 bedrooms.
Yeah.
But it was not different borough.
Accommodate you all?
All of the children.
Absolutely awesome. Matey, we've got another guest on the line, but thank you for sharing with us. You're doing an awesome job. 5 siblings that you've taken on. And I know that you are doing the best for them. And God is in the mix as well because you're a God-fearing woman as well. So God bless you. And thanks for sharing your experience. All right.
Yes, I have been. It's been for me a battle. I am now finally a fully approved foster carer.
Yeah.
Because I was on temporary made, and I just finally been approved to be a foster carer. So in the event that the children, grew up, and I can continue foster children that they are not family related, and I will advise anybody that it just is hard. Just you will, find that the children come from many different. There are so much need, and we need unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
And I just will advise anybody who has a spare room to do it.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks for your time, matey. Let's take this other caller. God bless you. We speak again real soon. Thanks for sharing, and you're doing a great job. God bless you.
If anybody has any questions or wants anything, please do give them my details.
Absolutely, we will definitely do that. Thank you, matey. Have we got Simon on the line?
Hey, hello. How you doing?
God bless you, sir. Apologies for keeping you on the line there. And I know we do things a little bit different here, but you've managed to follow the instructions. So you're live and you're live. Apparently, you're the stand-in for Dr. Pearl Jarrett.
I know. I'm seeing her next weekend. Me and Pearl, we're going to be having some words.
You're not as pretty as Pearl, unfortunately.
Not at all. No, exactly. Not as good. Not as good. I'm an average stand-in.
Oh, nice one. Tell us why you're here.
Yeah, so basically, we are doing a roadshow in London, New Testament Church of God, on the 27th at 7 p.m.
Okay.
Now, it's all about... I work for... the roadshow is organised by Home for Good. And one of the priorities is tackling racial disparity within the care system.
Yeah.
There's some real issues going on. The black children make up 5% of all the children in the UK. However, 7% of children in care are made up by black children. And also the other big one is that if you are a black child, you are going to spend more time waiting for a family to want to have you. Now, there's loads of reasons for this, loads of complex reasons. We've got to get our heads around this.
Yeah.
So what we really want to do, we're passionate doing, is trying to listen, particularly to our black majority churches, to try to listen to them, see what they're having to say, so what are the barriers? What are the things that are stopping black families coming forward to offer homes to children that need them? So that's what we're about.
Okay.
In short, what we're doing at the roadshows.
Okay.
And Pearl,
yeah,
who is being to everyone and will be there. She does Mrs. Radio interviews. Just talks about her experience of being a mum who has adopted children and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Are you a foster carer or adopter yourself?
Yeah, so the reason why this is a huge issue for me is both. I was adopted.
Okay.
I was adopted by two white parents back in the day and grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood. White, and that's that is a white town. Out of 40,000 people in that town, there was 3 of us that were black. And, I really felt just that I didn't fit in. And I just carried that throughout the whole of my childhood. I think I went to Birmingham. I went from this town in Somerset, and I came to Birmingham to go to university, and I had a complete identity crisis. Complete identity crisis. And it wasn't until I started connecting with my birth parents a bit later on when I was 30, started discovering something about my own heritage, my own history and stuff like that, that I realised that something was missing. Now, research shows that it is so important for our children to grow up in places and spaces that reflect their image, that tell their story. Tell their story, their heritage, their ancestors, take pride in that. And I think we need to support white families that have adopted black children. I'm not saying, we have to be honest. At the moment, we've not got enough black families coming forward, so children do find themselves there. So another thing that I'm really interested in doing is maybe seeing if there are black families that actually want to come and sort of like support, buddy up with white families. So the issues like guys, issues about how do we do our hair, and look after our skin. But also the deeper issues is things like getting pride in black poets, in black historians, in black history. It's that stuff that I think too many of our black young people who grow up in care, that they don't realise that there's a rich, beautiful deepness, in our black scientists.
Oh yeah.
And that's the stories that they need to be told and fed and embraced, and we just need more black families coming forward that's going to go, we want to give a home to black kids that need them.
All right, sell me the job. Why should I become a carer?
Well, I'm not going to say that you should become a carer because I think one of the things I would be cautious of doing is I would be cautious of just saying, come and become a carer. In actual fact, it's tricky. It's tough. Not everybody would be able to give that type of space in their home. But what I'm really interested in doing is getting, black families to start asking the question.
Yeah.
And considering and say, well, what does it mean to look after a child? I want to think about it and stuff like that. And perhaps. And I think one of the things that Home for Good could be really good for is maybe starting to go on that journey with families to see, actually, the fact is it a space that you can do? And if so, we would love to journey with you and support you into doing it. Because it's not for everybody. I think part of me thinks it is for everybody. We should all giving up our homes, but also we've got to be realistic.
Yeah, absolutely.
These children need to go into homes where they have mums and dads.
Yeah.
That get them, that are able to get stuff around, the trauma, are able to do the tough love. And when I say tough love, I don't mean the discipline love. I mean carry on loving the kids when the kids are just not listening, when they're not coming home at night, but to say, no, this is tough, but we're not going to leave you. We're going to stick with you through thick and thin. So, yeah.
Awesome. We've got my co-host, Pastor Owen Uriah, and Minister Joshua Kesler with us as well. Anytime you guys ready to jump in and question Simon, please do so.
I wanted to ask, wanted to go a little bit deeper. Well, I want to say good evening, Simon. Thank you for coming on. With us. It's a big help because this is not our remit. So you're
absolutely
bringing some light to the whole area of fostering and adopting, etc. I know that Dr. Pearl was going to come on and talk about racial disparity, and I wanted to know if you could just define that a little bit, and then after when you do that, if you can also maybe just share some of the complex issues, that kind of transpires within that system.
So absolutely, it is quite complex. So one of the things that happens is things like being able to have the space in your home for a child. So if you can't, if you haven't got enough space or enough finances and stuff like that, then it's very difficult to become a foster carer or to adopt. But to go really deep in this thing. For many of our black neighborhoods and communities, we are still living under the effect of the fact that our economy is built on the oppression of people, and particularly, let's go deep. The oppression of black people. When we had us coming over from Africa, we weren't allowed to have land. We weren't even allowed to learn to read and write. And I think that, we've set up our modern economic system where the inherited wealth is passed down from generation to generation. And if you've got this huge black community that haven't been able to be part of that wealth in the first place, then it can't get passed down to us. So you've got this situation. And obviously, this isn't for everybody, but for huge amounts of our black communities, we're living in those spaces where we just don't have the room, we don't have the land, we don't have the finances, and also the education, as we know. Education it's really tough. It's a place that has systemic racism within it, and part of the system, looks at how are you going to support a young child through education. Now, again, if you are coming from a neighborhood where the education system has let you down, then you're struggling to argue we can support a child, because you may have left with low qualifications. You may have, and all of that stuff. I think there's a whole load of things about the system that we need to think. How do we provide homes for black children in black neighborhoods with black families when a system tends to look at that unfavorably? So does that sort of answer a question?
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So that's one thing.
That's one. I'm sure there's many more. So the thing is, so in terms of solution, what is it that Home for Good is obviously trying to do, or what is the agenda in terms of breaking down these barriers?
Yeah. So the first place we have to start is listening. We have to listen to our black communities, neighborhoods, our black churches, and really have a deep understanding of what's being said there. What are the issues? Because we can talk about it from a deficit model, but there is also so much wealth within black communities in terms of hospitality, looking after family, one another. I think black communities really get, and I've talked about my own experience. Black communities really get, it takes a neighborhood to raise a child, and we have a beautiful, gorgeous 14-year-old black adopted daughter, and the lifesaver is our local neighborhood. she can be tricky, as you can imagine. But we have so many, even today and even yesterday, we have so many people in our neighbourhood, so many big, strong black women that just say, send her over. We're able to send her over, and that's this wonderful thing that goes on of just her being able to have multiple mums and dads just to support her and to support us. And I think these are the wealth that we can have within the black community, and it's trying to get the social worker system and the care system to understand that. The idea of having like a nuclear family, there's 2.3 children and all of that lot, and an individualistic approach to family. That's more in the line of sort of like Western culture, where sort of African culture and Caribbean culture, it's let's come together and support one another when things are tricky.
Okay, great. What are the requirements to become a carer?
Well, so these are the things. You basically have to meet or evidence a set of standards or a set of competencies. So the main one is, will you be able to provide a safe environment for a child? And that's a huge one. If you can come forward and say, yes, we can provide a safe environment, you're on a starter. But then there's other things, the practical things. So like I mentioned before, have you got a spare room for a child or a sibling group to come in? Other competencies around how you're going to support the child's needs, their ethnic needs, their education needs, their health needs, etc., etc. So if you can, what they call is evidence that you will be able to meet at a level these standards, then you can at least start the process. And that's a good process. It's a hard process. It can be an intrusive process where a social worker, spends many, many hours with you and asks you lots of questions, and then after that you go to a thing called panel, who look at your life and make a recommendation to whether they think.
I was just going to ask about that. Some people had a colourful growing up, a time growing up, and they may have a criminal record. Are they allowed to adopt or care?
Possibly, but these are one of the issues. See, let's bring it back to the previous question. If you're a young black person hanging out, you are more likely to get stopped and searched by the police. You are more likely to end up getting a criminal record than your contemporary young black or white person growing up. So again, it's just about trying to get people to understand the context. Now, if the offence is offence against obviously children or sexual or violent, then you're going to struggle.
Understandable.
But it is possible. In terms of to do risk assessments, to dig deep in terms of, have you learned from the offence? Is it likely to happen again?
Nothing's sexual.
It is possible to have a criminal record but still be approved. But nevertheless, I still think the system has to recognise that many people in the black community are disproportionately discriminated against and end up we're more likely to, as we know statistically, get in trouble with these half criminal records and stuff like that. So this is the type of stuff we need to be aware of.
Excellent. Pastor Owen, any questions from yourself?
No, just listen, Simon, I just want to say thank you. Sunday, I was with your son Sunday with my wife, and we had a wonderful evening you up there. And I did mention you. Yeah, we had a great time. And very inspirational, and we were inspired. I just want to say that. I just took on board what you said about being outside of Birmingham, where you're the only black person who was. And I think I was born right here in the middle of Birmingham, in what we used to call the cultural melting pot where we were all here, regardless of race. We was mixed up all together and was all here, growing up together in the 60s and 70s. But I had two cousins, dual heritage, half African, and they were 20 minutes out of Birmingham. This is in the 60s and the 70s, and they went to school, and they were the only black children in the school. So I understand that dynamic, because we used to go over there for our holidays. And we knew when we went to the shops down there, it was only colourful people, as it were. Why I'm only mentioning that is because when I heard you say, when you came to Birmingham, it kind of like was a big, excitement that you could relate to certain things. But I was just thinking about the dynamic then of the black parent that says, well, they'll take the opportunity to foster or to do this kind of thing. And I am just thinking, I'm just thinking out loud and just thinking about the challenges that they would have as well in needing to enable the black child, as it were, to be familiar with their black roots. At least that's what I hear you saying, the hair, the skin, all these wonderful things that we do. But I was just thinking about, are you guys thinking forward that things are changing even in the black dynamic here in the city, where we are now Generation X, we're now on Y, Z, we're way down there now, where it's sometimes hard to tell the difference because we are very, very mixed now here in Birmingham, especially in London, I'm sure. So has any thought gone into that, that some of the stuff that we will be teaching and passing on won't potentially be African or Caribbean. It may be a kind of a mix, if you're with me,
exactly.
Because I'm just thinking about the dynamic that we bring to the table. That with my children, we brought that dynamic to the table. I'm mixed, so I bring a little bit of whiteness in there as well. And I'm just saying, just thinking about that. Answer me on that. Just tell us how we would cope with that.
Yeah. So sort of like a theologian, social person called Du Bois talks about this idea of double consciousness. And it's exactly what you are talking about. It's how black people now, modern black people, we have to stand in these two worlds. We have to stand in this white Western world, which we do. This is the reality of it. Yet we also stand in that, if you like, within the world where our African roots comes through. And he talks about that as a thing called double consciousness. So I think that you're absolutely right. What we're not wanting to say to our children is, forget white Western values. What we're wanting to say to our children, okay, we need to live in a world that actually both of those sets of values and both of that set of identity can coexist together equally, as in unison. I think one of my favorite passages in the Bible is Revelation 7, because I think it gives us this eschatological vision of what Kingdom of Heaven really is. It's a place where everybody from all the tribes, from all nations, all ethnicities, can come together in a perfect unity. Now, it actually uses the word white, dressed in these robes of white. I sort of like we do the color, and I talk about it. Actually, it's about being in all the colors of the rainbow, because obviously it is when only all the what is white? White is all of the colors of the rainbow coming together in perfect unity. And I talk about this thing where we do have to recognize that we are living in this time, but at the moment the blackness is seen lesser than the whiteness. The values associated with black culture and stuff like that are seen as lesser values than the values associated with whiteness. So we need both of those values, but there need to be an equality about it.
Equal playing. Yeah, excellent. And I'm glad you said that, because I'm very pro-active regarding blackness. I think that we need to be owning some. I'm off, Joshua. I'm off. We need to be owning some of these properties. We need to be owning the community, because we have invested that much into our children, our parents. So I hear what you're saying, and I think getting that balance right, because my dad always taught me, wherever you put your feet, you have a right. It belongs to you. And that's what my vision for the future is, that whatever you are, wherever you put your feet, it belongs to you. And we need to build that. And I'd like to see that more proactive and it happening. We're trying, but like I said, with the systemic racism and the stuff that we have around us, we've got to come to the table with a bit more savvy. I was saying this yesterday. We need to be a bit more savvy about how we handle it. And we have got the ability. We've got the skills. I mean, we've got everything we need. It's just a matter of us working that thing together. Yeah. And I suppose that's the whole story, working together. But we have to. Yeah, bless you, sir. Thank you very much.
Not a problem.
There's a question in the chat. Please ask about age and marital status. Yeah. If you're 21 or younger or single, would you be discriminated against by the foster or adoption system?
No. So my wife, when she became a foster mum, she was 23. Obviously, you have to, as I said before, you have to evidence competencies. Obviously, if you're 18, you might struggle to evidence competencies because you just have not had that life experience. So, you know, in terms of competencies in the keeping children safe and all of this, like you might not have the knowledge or the savvy to do that. But if you can evidence the competencies, then it's any age, any adult age. Okay. You could be 105. You can be 120. You know, if you're healthy enough, it doesn't matter. And again, you know, I just want to really encourage, and again, talking to the black majority churches here, encourage single people to come forward. I think there has been a narrative within some of the black majority churches of people waiting for their husband or waiting for their wife, you know, to make before they make a family. Now I feel, let's be honest, we have more women in our churches than blokes.
Absolutely.
So a lot of the time, you know, the numbers just don't add up. You know, and I really want to encourage, and also pastors to be encouraging and supporting our single people in our churches that want families but are struggling to find a partner, just to get on and do it. Get on and get a family, have a child, look after a child, because that again, it's really important. And unfortunately, you might be waiting forever if you're waiting for a partner.
Absolutely. How you've had a couple of events? Was you at the previous events?
Yeah, we've had one in London.
Yep.
And this Sunday was one in Birmingham.
That's right.
It's fun. Really, really good fun.
Okay.
Always good. I don't know if you know Pearl. Always good listening.
I know Pearl. Yeah, definitely. She's always very charismatic character.
Charismatic. Some very elaborate stories that she tells. I won't give you any spoilers yet because I'm not allowed to. But I have had some really interesting conversations. One of the things that I've been asked a lot is a bit like it's already been done. Is so what are you actually going to do? We know there's racial disparity within the care system, but what is Home for Good going to do about it? Because I'm picking up that people don't want to just keep talking about it because we can talk about it forever. They want to actually do something about it. And we've still got the 2 voters to go, so I'm a little bit tentative to start talking about what we're going to do. Because it's too easy, isn't it? It's too easy to go for the fixing of the problem before we've actually reflected on the listening bit and what people are saying. But I have loads of ideas that that I'm going to gently encourage Home for Good in the coming months.
Awesome. You will be at the New Testament Church of God. I do believe you're in Bristol as well. Am I right?
Yeah.
You're in Bristol as well. What date is Bristol?
So Bristol is next Saturday.
Okay.
What date's next Saturday?
The
24th, I believe.
24th, is it?
24th. I believe it's 24th of June.
17th, 24th. Absolutely, yeah, 24th. So the New Testament Church will be the last one in. It's actually Northwest London. I know you've got it down as North London. In Northwest London, that will be the last event date of the events.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that will be it. And then what I'm really hoping is this is the start. This is the beginning. It's not about let's do the road shows. Right, we've done it. It's about let's use the road shows.
Spilled on it.
To start building. So where do we now go forward? We're thinking about developing some positive pieces of work that can get to some of the roots of these issues that we've been talking about today.
Great. We've got the phone line open. Are you able to take calls?
Yeah.
All right, people, if you want to ask Simon anything, the phone line is available for you to use. 07534 610 if you have got any concerns, if you have got any questions, if you're thinking about it, if you maybe even want to attend one of the events and you just need a bit more information, why not ask him some questions now? We've got about 25 minutes to go of the show, and unfortunately Dr. Pearl isn't here. But
so if Dr. Pearl was here, she would have just told you a story that lasted 40 minutes, and then that would have been it.
I know she doesn't mess around with the talking, Dr. Pearl. But if you got any questions for Simon, we would love you to call in now. All right, the phone line is available. Give us a call now.
Interact and call the studio on 07534 610 422.
If you don't want to call in, you can always leave your message in the chat, and we will relay your message. All right? So give us a call.
Interact and call the studio on 07534 610 422.
You said, Simon, you were fostered. Were you a good... you were adopted. Were you a good adopted a child as... did you give your adopted parents trouble? Or how was it for you? How was it for them?
Yeah, I think I was reasonably good at home, if I'm honest with you. It was actually the school that I really struggled in. Yeah, because if you can imagine, I was in the school back in the day where, we had a couple of things going on. We had the Blue Peter Appeal, which was all about these poor black Africans that needed feeding. So I got a lot of actual stick at school. But the other thing is, it's the way that we taught history. Our history that we taught was just about these great white heroes that went off to civilize these black communities, whether it be in Africa, whether it be in South America and stuff like that. And I actually ended up leaving school with no qualifications at all. As a matter of fact, there was I remember my first year at secondary school, that's year 7, I think it's called now. I remember a teacher coming into the class, calling out my name. I had to leave the class, and for the rest of that year, I was put in what was called remedial class. And I believed that I was sick. I did, because the system just saw me through those eyes. And I left school with no qualifications at all. But it wasn't until I actually during my teenage years, I started going to this church youth group, and it wasn't until a group of people gathered around me, bless them. I mean, it was interesting, but bless them, they started to believe in me, and then I was able to go back to university, went to Birmingham, and then a few years ago, Bristol Baptist College, I ended up getting a master's.
Amen.
And again, that's the thing. I mean, we work with so many young people that are, that are struggling at school. And schools, I'll be honest with you, we're supporting young people, and even our young people at schools are giving up on them. They're giving up on them. And they're letting them go, and they're giving things like these things called managed moves and all of that stuff, because education attainment in their eyes has to be hit by 16, has to be hit by your GCSEs. And I'm trying to encourage schools to say, education is a lifelong thing. So many of these children, they're not able to do education right now. What they're doing is all of their emotional and mental energy is just trying to sort of like navigate themselves. But if you support them for who they are, love them for who they are, stick with them, even though they might not shoot your school up on the league table, what you're doing for them means that in the future, invest in them now, and you'll see the fruit happening for these young people in the future. But we give up on them, because they're not hitting the targets now, and I think that's the big the thing that gets me really, really angry, like really angry. But again, that's part of the system.
Yeah. Got a message there. I might have missed it, but there are courses to help prepare you when looking to become a foster parent.
Yeah.
A message has come into the chat. There are courses to help prepare you when looking to become a foster parent. How are your adopted parents?
My adopted parents did not go on a course. They were rubbish. No, I say there was no preparation at all. I was adopted back in 1972. There was a completely different culture there. Basically, there was a practice or a belief that white parents would make good, white middle class parents would make good homes for these black children. So just given. My parents knew nothing about trauma, knew nothing about attachment. They had no understanding of the importance of heritage and stuff like that.
Culture.
It just didn't. That just didn't happen. But now there's a lot more support out there to give parents support. Do life story work for the young people. Even talk to parents about what's called letterbox contact. So if you're adopted, there's opportunities for the child to write to their birth parents once a year, and the birth parents to again write a letter back to them on a yearly basis. And we prepare. We live in the age of social media as well, so we have to prepare families for the real possibility that when their child starts getting into teens, 14, 15, 16, that they will themselves go out and try to contact.
Want to reconnect,
their families. Yeah.
Okay. Brilliant.
Can I ask a question? Brad Charles, I've got a question.
Yes,
you don't mind?
Jump in.
Yeah, a couple of questions. One is first, you just asked a question about some courses there. Do they have courses to qualify or help potential foster parents to become foster parents? Do they have courses that you have to pass? Is that part of the process?
Yes. So what you have to do is part of the assessment process, all foster parents have to go on a course. Now they can look slightly different. They're normally about 3 days. So you would go maybe 3-4 days. And during that time, the people that are actually teaching the course, they will actually write an assessment about you, and that will go to panel. You won't be able to become a foster parent unless you've
go on the course.
Unless you've done that course. That course is also you're also being assessed on that course as well.
Yeah. I think it's wonderful. Yeah. To have children nowadays, you don't need to go on a course. You can have as many as you want. Amazing. Sorry, I just had to throw that in there. But the other question I want to ask you, Simon, is the time from application to the access to a child. What does that look like, and how long does that take?
Okay, normally it takes about 9 months. I know the one foster agency I worked with, they would try to do it in 6 months. Occasionally, they would come in there would be a few in 6 months. I don't mind 9 months, I'll be honest with you. I think someone who made a point the other day about that the same amount of time that the average person will be pregnant, expecting a baby. And also, I think that it's important because you need to be sure. You need to be sure, and you need to be prepared as much as you possibly can. So, 9 months is good. It's a good set of time for you to really prepare yourself. And coming back to the course, actually, this is a good point. So my wife, she teaches on these courses, and often couples will go on the course, and during their time on the course, they'll decide, no, fostering is not for us, because it's real. We share some real life stories. We don't mess about on the courses. It's what can be some of the struggles and challenges, and some young people that you may get, and people just go, oh, we didn't know it was that. We just thought there'd be a nice Oliver Twist would come, or Annie would turn up one day, and that was it.
Yeah, thank you, brother. That's great.
Like surrogacy, can fostering be seen as a career?
It can be a career. That's an interesting question, because it is and it isn't. If you know what I mean.
It shouldn't only be for financial.
It can't just only be for financial basis. Not at all. You can't do that. Right. Your motive, your core motive, has to be because you want to provide a safe home where young people can come and express themselves and thrive and stuff like that. That has to be your core motive. But in doing that, you learn stuff. I mean, we've been fostering now for 23 years, I think, 22 years. Okay. And just because of the wealth of experience that we've got and the amount of young people that have come through, we now are able to, like I said, work for Home for Good. We do a lot of training with Birmingham Children's Services. We do a lot of stuff around transracial adoption and stuff like that. So, it is sort of like a job and not a job all at the same time. If you know what I mean. It's a bit like being a minister. It's a job and not a job. Right.
You can all the hours and no money, all the hours.
No financial reward. There's a question.
You don't go home from fostering and put your feet up and go, "Oh, that was a hard day." It's there all the time.
Yep. A question is, there's a question coming, is the course for adopting much longer or different than fostering?
It's pretty much the same. We did ours a bit differently. We were very fortunate. Because we'd been fostering, because of the way it happened, we actually got the trainer come to our house, which was really cool. And we spent 3 days. He came to our house for 3 days. In terms of the intensity and the time, it's pretty much the same. And they do it. The content is different in the sense that there's a lot more talk about developing what we call life story work with adoption. So you as mum and dad are responsible for developing that life story work, and also you and mum and dad, you could turn around and say we don't want our child to have anything to do with their birth parents. So there's a bit more emphasis on talking to potential adopters to tell them the importance of that. Obviously, if you're a foster parent, then it's the social workers are still predominantly responsible for doing the life story work. But it's different, obviously, but it's there's a lot of similar link overs, stuff around trauma, attachment, and all of that stuff is in them both.
Wonderful. Okay, 17th of June, you'll be at the Bristol City Church. Postcode, I've got a postcode only, BS28JP. And on the... Is it the 24th, you said?
27th, did it?
27th at the New Testament Church of God. Saturday 24th.
What is Saturday 24th, is it?
Saturday 24th. At the New Testament Church of God in Willesden. That's Northwest 10 2SD. And that will be on Saturday the 24th at 7 p.m. All right. So,
and most important, there will be food.
There'll be food.
There will be food.
Pastor Owen's got a big smile on his face. I think he had one pork pie too much, I think. But...
No, the food was all right. I don't eat after 7, but I'll be honest with you, the food was good last night. Me and the wife. No, it was Sunday night. Me and the wife, we had Aki Volivants.
Wow.
Yeah, we did.
It's worth just turning up for the food. Aki, you know what's something that Aki? You know what's Aki?
And salmon and a cucumber, man. Nice, man.
Yeah.
That's nice.
At London, we just had chicken, rice and peas.
What? Lovely.
It's exciting. And who knows what we're going to get in Bristol? Who knows what we're going to get? Maybe we'll smash out the curry mutton one of these evenings.
Or the jerk. You might get a jerk going. Nice. People, we've got less than 10 minutes to go of the show. We really appreciate Simon jumping in for Dr. Pearl. Dr. Pearl, if you are listening or if you listen to the recording, we have missed you, but Simon's been a great stand-in.
I think she's somewhere, because it's been hot. I can imagine that she's by an outdoor swimming pool with a gin and tonic. That's what I think's happened. We can find her. Anyone near where... her area.
Reading their next role. Yeah, absolutely wonderful. How can people get in contact with the organisation?
Yeah, so the best way at the moment is to go on the website. So homeforgood. Is it homeforgood.org, I think? I could probably...
You're right, yeah, homeforgood.org, yeah.
That
.org.uk.
Yeah, that will there'll be information on there in terms of Connect Up. So there's opportunities, people want to get regular newsletters or stuff like that. There's also blogs on there for them to read. I've put a bit of stuff on there. There's some great videos on there. There's some great videos by some of the young people. Again, so I'd definitely check out that website. Lots of information, and there's plenty of ways in which you can connect. I'm hoping that after the road shows, we're able to start getting more intentional sort of like stuff on there that encourages more black families to connect and the support around that. Because I do believe we need to be intentional about it, because it is a different experience. There are different things to think about when encouraging black families to come forward. One of the other things I do want to also quickly say is often we think that fostering or adopting is about us giving to the child. Yeah. And, you know, we want people to provide these safe spaces for kids where kids can thrive. But it also works the other way. I can honestly say the 23 years that we have been fostering and we have adopted, we ourselves have gained so much more. We have become richer people. I think Pearl sort of like did this lovely analogy about us being able to take a child and be able to carry this child into the place that God wants that child to be. Now that is a lovely analogy, awesome. But also I absolutely believe that these children that come into our houses and come into our homes, they are also the vehicle that God uses to take us to the place that God wants us to be. And that's humbling. It's hard. You know, this isn't easy. You know, we talk about the fire of God, you feel the fire when his children come into your house. But it's a purifying fire that burns away any of the crap that's surrounding you, because they come and there's no messing. And when you're on your hands and knees crying and praying, you're thinking, okay, this is now real. I need you, God. So yeah, it's all good.
Amen.
So Simon, since you've been doing these presentations at these churches, what has the response been Has it been positive in terms of?
Yeah, hugely positive, hugely positive. Everyone I've spoken to has said it's been really interesting. It's opened their eyes, but and this is what I've got to say: it's no good just being positive. It's about us saying, so what next? Yeah. So how are we going to take this forward? Because I don't want people just to come and go, oh, that was really good. That was a really good evening, and enjoyed listening to Pearl. What I want us as an organisation to be able to do is to say, okay, we've had these road shows, so if we're serious about tackling racial disparity within the care system, if we're seriously about engaging with our black majority churches, then how are we going to do that? And that's for me, that's an exciting journey to go on.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Great.
Amen.
Can we thank Carmen for putting in the information on the chat as well? If you do want to get hold of Simon and Pearl, the website is homeforgood.org.uk. So homeforgood.org.uk. Simon, is there any others that work in the organisation with yourselves? Is it just you and Pearl, or others?
No. Home for Good got a big team.
Okay.
We've got a big team all doing lots of different things. So I think obviously me and Pearl, we're very much specifically thinking about issues around race and the disparity and justice, stuff like that. But yeah, it's a bit. Home for Good is a big team. So we're going to really hope that it's going to be more people connected.
It grows. Yeah.
Yeah.
And would you class yourself as a Christian organisation? Are you a Christian organisation?
We are primarily focused on supporting and galvanising the church. But, and I say but, I'm a pioneer Baptist minister. So I have a huge missional sort of heart. So what I would love to see is you don't have to be a Christian to engage for Home for Good. What Home for Good wants to be able to do is just be able to support anybody to come on board. We want to support anybody. We want good hope. But, when you come in for Home for Good, we'd love to sort of see these hubs together that anybody can come, but they will have that intentionality of sort of being a Christian, organize, Christian meetings, maybe do some focus. So one of the things is a lot of children who are fostered struggle to go to your normal church services, as you can imagine.
Yep.
It's a bit tricky for lots of different reasons. So I would love to be able to provide spaces where families and children can come, but they're freer spaces. They're spaces that don't necessarily trigger, to come and meet and share and break bread together, to worship together, but they're freer spaces. And those spaces to be based in neighbourhoods, to be based in black neighbourhoods, and those spaces to be welcoming to anybody that also wants to join them. So that's my missional heart. I've got a big mission to redefine the spaces that we do church to make more inclusive to our children and to other people in the neighbourhood.
Awesome. Any last minute questions, Pastor Owen, Minister Joshua? Any last questions for Simon?
No, not particularly. I just want to say that, just want to commend your establishment, yourself and Pearl and the team in terms of the work that you're doing, and we just pray that God will just continue to bless the hands of your labour. And just wish you every success. And hopefully maybe at some point, maybe down later on in the year, we can invite you guys back on and have another conversation. Because I think that these things are important. As you said, sometimes we can come and we can have these seminars and do these presentations, and then, nothing really happens. So it's always good for us to, come back and just empower the people and inform the people, bring about an awareness, and then, we can continue to be a support to you guys as well. So, just want to say God bless you and just continue doing what you're doing.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Pastor
Thank you very much. Yeah, totally agree. I think, Simon, I've heard about you before because of the Baptist background with some of the things that we do up here in Birmingham. But if you think that we can be of any more help, let us know individually and corporately. So we're here to help. I think it's great what you're doing, and we're praying for you. We're praying for you. Keep up the great work.
Yeah, definitely. What I'd love to do is, after all the road shows, and sort of like we've reflected on a lot of the stuff that people are saying, I'd love to then bring more people on to just help us as an organisation just think about this. It's really important. I'm not into saviorism at all. I recognise that Home for Good is a majority white organisation who's recognised the need, but we can't have white people who are meeting that need. We can have white people to join us, to support us to meet the need. So what I want to be able to do is afterwards is actually bring in more people, more black churches, more black individuals that are committed to this, to really get sort of like the focus and the ideas. Have a mixed team looking at this issue, but ultimately, it needs to be black people need to be empowered to fight this justice one. The white people. I think one person said here. What do you think of this? One person said the difference is what before it's like white people used to join black people in the fight and fire the guns next to us. What we are saying is, don't worry about firing guns. We just want you to load the bullets into the guns. We'll do the firing.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Any last minute